There are few weapons in Warframe that are more iconic than the Hek. This weapon right here has seen a lot of fresh Tenno through the initial mastery ranks. And today, my friends, it is my absolute pleasure to revisit this outstanding legendary weapon. As always, my name is Leyzar, and I got a couple of builds lined up. Something cheap, something affordable. In fact, most of this vid will be focused around the new player experience. So I'm gonna be focusing a whole lot on teaching newer players. In case you're a veteran and you already know most of this stuff, we got a bit towards the end for a maxed out setup. With galvanized mods, prime mods, the works, we're gonna even take it to steel path. But if you're a newer Tenno and you came to learn, this is definitely the right place. Now, with that out of the way, let's jump into the Hek Shotgun. Let's begin by having a look at how the weapon handles without any mods equipped. And for that, we're gonna have just a couple of our regular free shots. The Hek is a true blue standard shotgun, so it's fantastic for newer players coming into the game, especially because of its low mastery rank. In order to obtain the Hek, all you gotta do is simply buy the blueprint from the market. Now your orbiter might not look like my orbiter, but that's not important. The market should be and will be in the same place in the right side. Simply access it and in the search bar, HEK, Hek, what you're gonna have to do is replicate the blueprint. Buy the blueprint for 25,000 credits, which might seem like a lot, but trust me, you're going to be able to get that really quickly. It's no problem whatsoever. Also, if you hover over the blueprint, you'll see what you'll need to actually craft the weapon. A bit of credit, some neurodes, circuit, salvage, and rubedo. These are materials that you will get simply by playing the game, and you should have no problem in crafting the Hek. After you bought the blueprint, head on over to the foundry. Yours shouldn't have that teleporting effect, but ignore that for now. Head on over to the foundry, type in Hek in case you have a lot of things, which you probably don't, and you will see the blueprint. I have 2 blueprints. Are you sure you want to build it? Yes, I am sure. It will take you a grand total of 24 hours to build the Hek, unless you want to rush it with 25 platinum. If you are a newer player coming into the game and you don't have a whole lot of platinum, and by a whole lot I mean in the thousands, please do not spend your plat on rushing things. You should spend your plat on more slots, more Warframe slots and more weapon slots. The Hek Shotgun has a magazine of 4, which coincidentally is the biggest usability issue and the bane of my existence while leveling with the Hek. Don't get me wrong, this weapon packs one serious punch, especially for the low MR weapon that it is and how easily you can obtain and build it, but unfortunately that 4-shot magazine at times can get a little bit annoying. Thankfully, at higher MR levels you're going to be able to get the big brother of the Hek, the Vacor, but more on that just a tad later. Outside of that, my friends, you play as a shotgun, you get nice close and personal, you point it at the enemy's head and you... The thunderous roars of the quad battle of the Hek. This honestly is one of the most legendary weapons in the game, not because of its power, but because of how iconic it is and because of how many Tenno it actually got through the early mastery ranks in Warframe. Now let's have a closer look at them stats, shall we? The attack of the weapon is hit scan, so you should have no problem in aiming it. When you finish building your Hek, it should look something along these lines. Though your mod capacity is not going to be 60 out of 60, it's going to be 30 out of 30. Hit the actions button, install an Auto King Catalyst to double that mod capacity. You will have to repeat this step for essentially any weapon in Warframe if you want to max it out. I will highly advise you max out the Hek because for low MR levels up until MR 10 or something of the sort, this is a fantastic and powerful weapon to have. It basically annihilates whatever you're going to be able to come across. Next, if you take a look at my Hek, it has 8 next to the star symbol over here. That means that my weapon has been formatted a grand total of 8 times. In order to format a weapon, first thing you gotta level it to level 30, after which hit the actions button and the polarization. You will need a forma, however. Well, hold on, how do I get forma? All you gotta do is open relics. Trust me, you will be getting tons upon tons of forma blueprints. And here's another tip, you should always be building forma. Even veterans keep on building forma non-stop, which is why I have 100 and something, but that's not important. After you got your forma and you polarize, you're going to be able to choose a symbol to put on one of the mod slots. My recommendation to you, well, let's see, it's pretty easy. VVVVV. Essentially, you're going to be going with Modorai on all the polarities for the most part. When you are modding a weapon, you don't need to guess, oh my god, what polarity should I use? Should I use that P looking thing or the V thing or what should I go for? Simply go for the biggest mod polarity. What's the biggest mod I'm gonna be using on this weapon? Let's say it's gonna be this one. Well, on this one, obviously the symbol is a V right next to the drain. So I'm gonna be polarizing with Madurai, the V symbol. And when I do so, I'm gonna be getting half the drain when I put it over that specific slot. Of course, half the drain rounded up. So it's not 7.5, it's 8. So do bear that one in mind. Now, for the weapon build I'm recommending you, you don't need 8 forma. I'm not trying to scare you off. You're gonna need 2 to 3 forma, and besides, while leveling up the Hek, you're gonna be able to get closer and closer to said build. These 2 slots I want you to ignore for now. No empty arcane slot, no excellence slot, forget about these for the time being. We'll talk more about those later. Accuracy is 9.1, we do not care. We do not care because it's a shotgun, we should be getting nice, close and personal. But you know what, for a shotgun, it's actually quite accurate. Ammo maximum 120, which is bellissima. Ammo pickup is 15, fall off between 10 and 20. What in the actual hell is fall off? Does your projectile fall off? No, especially not on the Hek because this is a hit scan attack. But you're going to be losing damage from 10 meters onwards up to a maximum in length at 20 meters. You get how that one works? Essentially, never fire your weapon or try not to fire your weapon when you're further away from your target than the fall off distance. Does that mean you need to sit and mark and see what's the distance? No, just simply play by heart, okay? You're gonna learn what 10 meter is in Warframe. It's really not that big of a deal. Now, this stat can be amplified with projectile flight speed. When it comes to flight speed, you have the following mods. Well, just take this one into account. It's called Fatal Acceleration. 40% projectile speed, and even though we don't really fire projectiles because it's a hit scan attack, this will still make our fall off better for 14 to 28. So that means up until 14 meters, you are still getting 100% of the damage. And from 14 meters onwards is when you're going to be losing some of the weapon's potential. So you can see what 10 meters is. This is 10 meters. Okay, so this is kind of what you gotta feel off. This is plenty for a shotgun, and even so, the pellets are still landing within the crosshairs. But if you get close and this is an enemy's head, not all of the pellets will be landing on its head. And my friends, in Warframe, you want to go for headshots because there are hidden multipliers. There's a location-based multiplier, bonus critical multiplier. There's a lot to talk about this topic. Link in the cards right now for a full and detailed guide on critical chance, critical damage multipliers, the works. So we don't have to make this an even longer vid than it has to be. Back to stats. Now that we understand fall off, magazine of 4, multi-shot of 7. What? Multi-shot. By default, the Hek fires 7 little pellets. If you're gonna be putting on multi-shot, this will have a fantastic effect on weapons such as the Hek. Hell's Chamber is a mandatory mod on a whole lot of builds, 120% multi-shot, going to 15.4 multi-shot. And if you take a look, this also has a graphical representation on the screen. I'm gonna be taking my usual 10 meters, look at that. I got more pellets, a whole lot more. But it says 15.4, what in the actual hell does that mean? You're firing 15 pellets and 40% of one? No, not exactly. You see, per each and every single shot, you got a 40% chance at a 16th pellet. Obviously, this doesn't make a whole lot of difference when it comes to the Hek because we already got 15 pellets, but when you're dealing with weapons that only fire one projectile, that extra chance to get another one will be a big deal. It's important to understand multi-shot, and it's important to understand that multi-shot is the best thing on basically almost all weapons in the game. Noise alarming, forget about that. Reload on 2 seconds, which is a tad on the lengthy side considering the magazine of 4. Riven this position and you have 4 little balls out of a grand total of 5 balls. Yes, in Warframe, we get to have 5 balls if we're unpopular. Allow me to explain how that works. All weapons in the game can have their own unique mod called a Riven mod. For example, this Hek Acricon. Notice the fancy look of the Hek Acricon. This one has a drain of 18. These are the mods that have the highest drain, and normally you would forma for them. The stats on these mods are 100% down to RNG, and using Kuva, you're going to be able to roll them. Bear in mind that for a newer player coming into the game, you should not worry about this at all. I'm explaining to you how Riven Disposition works. Essentially, the more popular a weapon is, the lower the Riven Disposition, lower the balls. Lower the balls, that means less stats on my Hek, Acricon, or any other Riven for the weapon. For example, if this weapon had a Riven Disposition of, let's say, 1, I will not be getting 106% critical damage, I would be getting something like 60. And I would not be getting 101 critical chance, I would be getting, again, something around 60. You get how that one works. The reverse is also true. The less popular a weapon is, the higher the Riven Disposition, the more powerful stats on the weapon. Bear in mind, again, we're talking about the actual amounts, not the actual stats you get. The stats that you get, still down to RNG, which is a big point of discussion within the community. Now you understand how these Riven mods work, and most of them you will be getting from the sortie. If you haven't unlocked the sortie just yet, trust me, you'll grow bored of it over the years. Trigger semi-automatic, so you go shot by shot, but bear in mind you can tie your fire into your mouse's scroll wheel and just scroll to your heart's content if you want to max out the fire rate. Damage per projectile, we got critical chance 10%, so per projectile, yes, per little pellet. 2x critical multiplier, which is actually the standard in Warframe, while the critical chance is definitely on the low side, and the status per projectile, yes, per little pellet, 10.7, which is not bad considering we fire 7 projectiles by default with no multi-shot. And here you have the damage types. You have impact, puncture, and slash. These are the 3 physical types in Warframe. You also have the elemental types: heat, toxin, cold, etc. You gotta understand that all these elements deal a certain damage to a target. Depending on the target, you're gonna see bigger or lower numbers depending on the damage mitigation that the target has. For example, some targets are equipped with armor, and obviously that's gonna reduce certain damage. But it also means that certain damage types are gonna be having a bonus. As you can see, I have 11.2 puncture by default. And if I go over here to the simulacrum, you can get the key from Cephalon Semaris, but don't worry about it for now, and hover over a corrupted heavy gunner, you will see the following: ferrite armor. Remember I just said about armor, and clone flesh. You see, there is a way to completely remove the armor from the targets, and then what will be left is cloned flesh. That's not important. What is important to take away is the symbols of the damage types and the pluses and the minuses. Every single plus or minus symbol represents 25%. So what conclusions can I draw from this panel right here? If you take a look at the ferrite armor, you will see a little circle with an arrow through it. That is the symbol of puncture damage, and it has 2 little pluses. So I can surmise that puncture damage deals 50% bonus damage against ferrite armor. The next one, that's the symbol for corrosive, and that one deals 75% bonus damage. You cannot have more than 3 pluses or 3 minuses. For example, slash, the little sword looking thing, has a minus. That means minus 25% damage versus ferrite armor. Bear in mind that clone flesh has different vulnerabilities and resistances to damage. Now that's what the damage does when you actually hit a target, the impact damage per se, the contact damage, but all of these damage types also have their own unique status effect. For example, impact applies a little bit of crowd control to your targets. In the community, impact is not a sought after stat usually, because it makes the targets all wobbly and kind of fall off their balance, which means you're gonna have to reposition your aim to the head. Puncture status effect temporarily reduces the target's damage output by up to 75% with multiple stacks. Slash is the most powerful physical effect in Warframe, physical status effect. Yes, the status it can do. This is a really strong damage over time effect, plain and simple. So once again, it's important to understand that each element in Warframe has a specific status effect, and then you have the actual damage it does on contact, and not to confuse the two. And our total damage on the weapon is going to be 525. Now that you understand all of these aspects, we can talk about a standard build for the Hek Shotgun. And not only, obviously, in this guide you are learning about modding in general, and resistances, damage types, vulnerabilities, etc. Point blank, flat damage, my friends. This is a must-have mod when it comes to newer players starting into the game. And also, it doesn't cost that much endo to max out. You're looking at only 5 bolts for this one. 90%. This increases all the damage on the weapon, including whatever other elemental damage you put on this weapon. For example, I got Toxic Barrage and Frigid Blast. Now, these are what we call 60-60 mods, and we call them that for obvious reasons. It offers 60% of an element and 60% status chance. Toxic Barrage has Toxin, Frigid Blast has Cold. These 2 mods you will need to farm or trade for in Warframe. Frigid Blast can be farmed from spy missions, and Toxic Barrage from Corrupted Vor in the Void. If you are having trouble with spy missions, like I had trouble with spy missions when I was starting out, fear not, I got guides on all of them. All you gotta do is search up on YouTube. These two will make an elemental combination. Toxin, together with Cold, will be forming something new. Vital damage. Vital damage right now is one of the key meta elements in Warframe because vital status effect increases damage to health up to 325 with multiple stacks for a short duration. The maximum stats are 10. Vital is a must-have, especially when coupling with Slash or with any damage over time effects, including Heat, because Heat also deals damage over time, and Electricity. So essentially, if you're gonna build a weapon for damage over time, make sure you get that Vital on your target. And Vital can be applied using your weapon with the 60/60 mods, or you can use outside sources such as your companion. Forget about that. For now, just focus on the actual weapon build. Multi-shot, like I said, the best thing on everything, and get as much multi-shot as you can on this one. Next up, we got Chilling Reload. Now, Chilling Reload, 60% cold, 60% reload speed, further adding to the vital status effect, combining with the two mods we already mentioned. Now, this one has 40% reload speed, bringing down the reload to 1.4 seconds. Remember when I told you the usability issues of the Hek? 1, the magazine size, 2, the reload speed. We choose to fix one using Chilling Reload. On the weapon, we also have Blaze. This, pound for pound, is one of the most powerful shotgun mods you can have. The most powerful standard shotgun mods you can have. 60% damage, only 30% off point blank, but also 60% heat. Though we do not refer to this one as a 60/60 mod. 60/60 mods are only the status and an element type. Now, that heat is gonna apply even more damage over time, and it's also gonna erode a little bit at that armor. Even though we don't have corrosive on the weapon, which would be ideal against ferrite armor, heat is still gonna help with the enemy's armor. Chilling Reload and Blaze are what we call nightmare mods, or better said, they are obtained from nightmare missions. You can find them in the star chart. And I'm aware that when you say nightmare mission, oh my god, that means they're super hard, right? No. Not really. Simply go for nightmare missions. There are a couple of modifiers you need to deal with and get yourself these mods. And if you're having trouble with RNG, like I usually have trouble with RNG, simply trade for them. Sacred Justice is a Hek only mod. And when I say Hek only mod, you need this mod in your life. This comes from a syndicate. And if you don't have the Still Meridian Syndicate, fear not, they are still tradable, so you can still get this one. 200% multi-shot. What? That is absolutely balls to the walls insane. And +1 justice. Now the justice, the justice might feel a little bit kooky. This is a separate effect all on its own. And these syndicate effects usually trigger as following. Once you get 1000 affinity, and you can still get affinity even if you're not leveling anything, all enemies within 25 meters of the player receive 1000 damage. In the case of Justice, it's gonna be blast damage. The player also recovers 25% of their maximum health. Base armor is also increased by 15% for 30 seconds. So you see that +1 Justice is absolutely insane, especially while you're low MR in Warframe. So 100% go for this mod. If you don't have Steel Meridian, make sure you trade for it. You should not be charged more than 10, maybe 15 plat, but that's already pushing it. And the last mod on the, whoa, this shouldn't be here. Nope, sorry about that. Pretend like you didn't see it. The last mod on the weapon is going to be Hunter Munitions. This is a very powerful mod that you need to farm ASAP. You go down to the Plains of Eidolon and you should have no problem in getting Hunter Munitions. Most veterans have like 20, 30, 50, as you can see, copies of the thing. It's not an expensive mod. You need to understand that in Warframe, because a mod is powerful doesn't necessarily mean it's expensive. It depends on how easily you can obtain it, and don't be fooled by the colors either. Just because there are golden mods, silver mods, white mods, the color doesn't matter. A bronze mod, a basic mod can have a huge effect on the right weapon on the right build. So forget about the colors, simply focus on the actual effects. Check this effect right here. Plus 30% chance to apply Slash on critical. Interesting. Like we know from earlier, Slash is the most powerful physical type in Warframe, not because of the contact damage it does, but because of the effect it can have, the status effect it can have, that glorious damage over time, which is exactly what Hunter Munitions will provide. Not only that, because it applies it through critical, it means it simply does not care about the status chance of the weapon. I can have 0 status as long as I am critting, I'm gonna be getting some slashes from Hunter munitions. You see, essentially, it bypasses the whole system, which is why this mod is so powerful and I highly recommend it. This will be a base build, and now we're gonna be testing it with Big Mama Hildryn. Just let me make sure I don't have corrosive projection. Oh yes, that would have skewed the test result. We're gonna be using an empty build. You see, my friends, it's very easy to make things look very, very powerful when you're using a million buffs that, let's be honest, some of you simply can't get access to, at least not all that quickly. Now I can spawn levels 120s, 135, but that's not relevant to the case in point. I believe level 50s is more appropriate considering the mastery rank of the weapon. And level 50s, are you even gonna see him up until mastery rank 10, 12, something like that? Highly doubtful. We got the crewman representing the Corpus faction, we got the corrupted heavy goons representing the Grenier, and we also got the ancient healers for the infested. These are the 3 major factions you will come across. Not the only factions. We also got to talk about the sentients, but that's a story for another time. Forget about the sentients for now and focus on these guys. As you can see, the damage of the weapon, the one-shots are absolutely phenomenal. One-shots going for body shots, which you should not do. You should go for headshots, like so. Even the hefty corrupted heavy goons fall before a single shot out of the Hek Shotgun. This is the basic version of the Hek. The reload is also a whole lot quicker, so it doesn't bother me as much that the shotgun only has 4 shots in the magazine. Body shots, I'm not gonna be one-shotting the corrupted heavy goons, but it's still gonna be applying a whole lot of damage over time. As you can see, this weapon is fully capable of knocking out higher level targets, a whole lot higher than its mastery might suggest. And this is using basic level mod. So if you're a newer player coming into the game, I cannot recommend the Hek Shotgun enough. It is truly a legendary weapon, and it has taught many the ways of Warframe. Now, let's assume the following. Hey man, I'm a little bit higher in mastery rank, I have access to a whole lot of resources. What if I would want to make something a bit more powerful than the standard build? Well, in that case, you're looking at something like this. You see, our mod setup has changed. We're using a Riven, we're using Prime mods, we're using Galvanized mods, we're even using an Arcane, Primary Merciless in this case. A souped up setup would look something along these lines. And we're going to be testing it once again, not on level 50s because it would be highly pointless. And we're going to eliminate the Ancient Healer and the Crewman because, truth be told, the Corpus and the Infested faction are simply not all that tough to kill. They may have numbers or they may have a whole lot of damage and a whole lot of tricks, but when it comes to survivability, they're not really the best. So we're gonna be spawning in Exogogstad and corrupted heavy goons. Let's see, Exogogstad officer. When it comes to these Exogogstad officers, please don't worry about them until you do Railjack. And if you don't know what Railjack is, I'm not gonna spoil it for you. Please enjoy the story because it's one of the best parts to Warframe. There we go, we got the Corrupted Heavy Goons 165 and Exogugstad. We're gonna have to get a kill because this is a galvanized setup, and with a galvanized setup, I'm gonna have to get my buffs. 2 shots on the target, dead. 1 shot in the target, dead. 50,000 on that slash, baby. Absolutely bloody fantastic. Look at that, 21,000. And you see on the target what I don't see, come on. You must have noticed it from my build if you're a veteran. No viral. No viral whatsoever, and I'm still essentially one-shotting high-level targets because there was no more room on the build to put viral. And besides, if you're a veteran of Warframe, you know you're gonna be getting your viral from the Panzerwulpefeila, your companion. Now granted, that there she goes. That Panzerwulpefeila is not as reliable as I would like it to be, but let's see her in some Steel Path gameplay. Welcome to the Void, my friends. Now let's see what the lowly Hek Shotgun can do against level 130-ish Steel Path enemies. We got a couple of bombards over here, another bombard over there, no problem whatsoever when it comes to the actual damage of the weapon. I'm using Mama Hildryn, and I have not used my pillage to remove the armor, because I can, and you should, and then the enemy's defenses are a whole lot lower, making them easier to take out with the Hek Shotgun. But as you can see, my friends, it's a non-issue. This weapon packs a serious punch for such a, what is it, MR4 weapon that is absolutely bloody insane. You can actually use it to run Steel Path, if that's what you want to do. Are there more powerful weapons in the game? Of course there are. There damn well should be more powerful weapons in the game. But do you actually need them? No. So even if you're a veteran and you want to relive those old Hek moments, those reloading all the time moments, then there you go. You have the option with the Hek Shotgun. Is that a corrupted heavy goon? But I did remove its armor. This should be a one-shot, easily. Remember what I said about damage mitigation? That is why that armor counts for so much. As you can see, the performance is absolutely fantastic for an MR4 weapon. You can get one shots without any issue whatsoever, even in Steel Path versus the Corrupted. But you know what? It doesn't end here for the Hek, because there's two more variations, both of them more powerful than the standard Hek. Though, unfortunately, we cannot use the Justice mod. Now let's talk a bit more about those options. Oh, one more Corrupted Heavy Goon, this one with full armor. How's that? How's that? Absolutely bloody fantastic. This is the Hek family, the legendary Hek Shotguns. First of all, you got the initial version of the Hek, which is fantastic for newer players coming into the game. Then you got the Vacor version. Now, the Vacor has a very special trick. It has the Justice system built in, that fantastic proc. But it should be said, you cannot use the actual Justice mod on it, so you're losing that 200% multi-shot. And finally, the endgame weapon, the Kuva Hek. Now I say endgame even though Warframe doesn't really have an endgame per se. Still, players right now use the Kuva Hek to one-shot. Yes, one-shot a very tough target in what we call Steel Path Sortie or Archon Hunt. I recommend these weapons, they are absolutely fantastic, and if you want something a bit more powerful, if you're interested in the Kuva Hek and how to build it, link the cards right now for a full and detailed guide on it. But for now, my friends, I leave you with this amazing weapon, and I hope you'll have a fantastic journey through Warframe, at least as awesome as mine. As always, my name has been Leyzar. Thank you guys so much for watching. Like, favorite, share, and subscribe only if you enjoy the content. If you got any feedback for me, I would love to read it in the comment section down below. Oh, and if you love the content and you want to help me keep making it, consider supporting us via Patreon. There's gonna be a link in the upper portion of the screen right about now. Bye, guys!